Space Las Vegas at the Shops at Crystals. Tickets at DisneyImmersive.com. Brought to you by the producers of Immersive Van Gogh.
Open Road Radio, Monday night at 6 on KSHP North Las Vegas, AM and FM, K29 6HP North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is Pushing the Limits. So glad you could join us. And we definitely have a lot to get to today. Broadcasting everywhere, of course, on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and on the FM AM dial. And I'm glad everybody has joined us today for what I think will be a very entertaining show. Yes. Listen, congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. We're going to get to that in hour number 2. They're back-to-back champions. Paul McKeskey is going to be joining us. And, boy, how bad were the New York Liberty yesterday? How good were the Aces? How bad were the Liberty? We'll get to that in hour number 2. I want to get right into the biggest story, certainly in my opinion, of the last 24 hours anyway, and that's former Donald Trump attorney Sidney Powell has just pleaded guilty in the Georgia election subversion case. This is one day before she was supposed to be standing trial. Now, listen, this is not an abnormal thing. In a RICO trial, you indict a bunch of people, and then it usually happens in the case here where you have Sidney Powell that strikes a plea deal with the prosecution for her information that she has, and I would imagine much of this information will be against Donald Trump, right? Now, Powell has admitted to her role in the January 2021 breach of election systems in Georgia. With the help of local GOP officials, a group of Trump supporters assessed and copied information from the county's election system in hopes of somehow proving that the election was rigged against Trump, which obviously it wasn't. We know that for sure. So what does this mean for Donald Trump? Well, as I put on social media, this is very bad for Donald Trump. This was, his closest ally to this fake electorate scheme. This was his closest ally to the lies and the schemes, and who knows what Sidney Powell knows. I would imagine, and I don't think I'm going too far here, when I would say that Sidney Powell has the goods on Donald Trump. Sidney Powell absolutely has the goods on Donald Trump. And she is going to spill the beans. And Sidney Powell is going to be squeaking on the stand, perhaps. And Donald Trump's in a lot of trouble. He's effed, as I said repeatedly on social media lately over the course of the last several months, and especially today. Donald Trump might be more effed than I thought he was. He's in a lot of trouble. Now, my friend Grant Stern with Occupy Democrats made a good point, and he put up on Twitter today, he said, now that Sidney Powell is the second of the Donald Trump 18 co-conspirators to flip on him, how many do you think will actually go to trial instead of taking a plea deal? It's a very valid question that Grant Stern asked, and, we'll have to wait and see how this goes, but this is more bad news for Donald Trump. And yes, I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm smiling. These co-conspirators, many of them would probably testify against Donald Trump. I told you this is going to happen. Make no mistake about it. Sidney Powell is a nut job. She is crazy. She is disturbed, and this is the type of person that the Sean Hannitys of the world gave a platform on Fox News. She's nuts. She's crazy. She's a liar. And now she had to put in this plea deal. Otherwise, she'd have to go to jail because the evidence, I would imagine, is overwhelming against Sidney Powell. And now it's even going to be more overwhelming against Donald Trump. Now, I want to switch topics, and I want to talk to you about this rally that took place yesterday on Capitol Hill, where at least 300 people were arrested, and it was a Jewish-led rally. There was a lot of misinformation out there that it was a bunch of Palestinians. There were some Palestinians that were out there, but it was a Jewish-led rally in the U.S. Capitol calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and condemning Israel for a potential genocide of the territory. Let me start off by saying I think anybody should be allowed to peacefully protest. I know that there were a few officers that were injured. There were no serious injuries, thank goodness, and people were arrested, rightfully so. And while I have no problem with people protesting peacefully, I think for the most part this was a peaceful protest. There are morons out there that are comparing what took place yesterday to January 6th. Now, I will get to that. But I want to start out with Congresswoman Tlaib, who I think is a despicable human being, and I've said that for a number of different reasons. So Tlaib spoke before this protest took place. Tlaib has yet to denounce Hamas. Tlaib has yet to say anything negative about Hamas. She is anti-Israel, and I believe she is anti-Semitic, and I am not saying that because she is pro-Palestine. I think if you're pro-Palestine, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But if you're one of those people like Tlaib that continues to refuse to denounce Hamas, then I certainly have a problem with that. So I'm going to play you a little bit of this speech that Tlaib made in D.C. yesterday, and we'll kind of go from there. Here it goes.
Continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital where children... You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry.
Okay, so let's cut it. Tlaib went on social media yesterday and she claimed, which is a false claim, that Israel was behind the bombing of this hospital. Tlaib is the one who went on social media and lied and put out blatant misinformation. It has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt, based on video evidence that was released, and even Hamas themselves admitting that it was their fault, that it was Hamas behind this failed missile attack that dropped on this hospital and killed all these innocent people. Yet Tlaib is the one continuing to double down and spread misinformation, claiming that Israel was responsible for this bombing. Tlaib is human trash, because I would say that about anybody who puts out blatant misinformation that can incite violence. Israel was not behind this attack. It was Hamas and the failed missile attack from Hamas. That has already been proven, yet Tlaib still has yet to retract and has yet to put the responsibility on Hamas. Go ahead.
The kids don't cry and let them cry. And they're shaking, and somebody, you know this, they keep telling them not to cry in Arabic.
Stop it again.
They can cry.
Obviously, Tlaib is someone who is mentally ill. She's not stable. There's nobody out there that's saying that you're not entitled to cry. What the hell is Tlaib talking about? Who has said that you're not allowed to cry? There's a lot of people that have cried and gotten emotional. This is a horrible situation. Innocent people are dying. Kids, children, mothers, fathers. What is Tlaib talking about? This is a woman who is extremely mentally unstable, and she needs help, clearly.
I can cry. We all can cry. If we're not crying, something is wrong. And so I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing the vast majority just like this. And we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember that.
Again, what is she talking about? America is not standing by Joe Biden on what? The fact that Joe Biden is standing by with Israel, the fact that he has called out Hamas for being a terrorist organization. What is Tlaib talking about? And when she talks about genocide, will she ever talk about how this started? If you want to talk about genocide, how this all started from day one with Hamas committing these atrocities, what is Tlaib talking about?
I'll stand by and say nothing. We will remember this. But all of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Wahiyat Allah, you are on the right side of history. You are. You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that? Stop it with trying to politicize this.
All right, so this is a woman who is clearly emotionally, mentally ill. There's something wrong with her and she needs help. I'm talking about Tlaib. But it gets worse than that. Because again, to this point, Tlaib is still claiming that Israel was responsible for this bombing. And when she talks about genocide, I find this to be very interesting. Have you ever heard Tlaib call out Hamas? How can you take anybody seriously when they don't say this as follows? And I think I'm going to speak from a very basic and logical stance. Can we all agree that what Hamas did in invading Israel and killing innocent children and babies, mothers and fathers, going into homes and terrorizing families, can we all agree that that's wrong? And can we all agree that that is genocide? That's number one. Because if the answer isn't yes, and we can't start off the conversation there, then how can I have a conversation with you? You'll never hear Tlaib call out Hamas and call Hamas a terrorist group. You'll never hear her say that. Now, I understand Tlaib is Palestinian, and I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with her showing her pro-Palestinian, thoughts. I don't have a problem with that either. I would expect her to do that because she's Palestinian. But I'll never take her seriously, and I will always call her an anti-Semite because she refuses to call out Hamas and what the Israeli people have suffered through. I don't want innocent people to die. It could be Palestinians, it could be Israelis. I don't want innocent people to die, and I think most Americans agree with that sentiment. But Tlaib is beyond an anti-Semite. Tlaib is somebody who, again, seems to be on the side of Hamas, and I'm only going to assume that because she is not willing to call out Hamas for what they are, and that is a terrorist organization. Hamas is responsible for that hospital explosion where innocent people died. It wasn't Israel. That's been proven by almost every entity, even anti-Israeli entities have admitted that. So why won't Tlaib call out Hamas? The only reasoning that I can come up with is that she is anti-Semite, and she does not like the people of the Jewish faith. She is anti-Israel. I think as a country, we can call out Hamas for being the terrorist organization and then try to make sure that Israel does everything they can to not kill innocent Palestinians. I think you can do both. Tlaib's not doing that. She can't be trusted. She's an anti-Semite. I believe Tlaib is a despicable human being. I would say the same thing about Ilhan Omar. It's okay to be pro-Palestine. I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, Israel has the right to defend themselves, and I believe Tlaib is a deranged individual. She's mentally ill. I mean, just listen to her talk. It's okay to be emotional. There's not anybody out there that's saying you can't cry. I don't know what she's talking about. And when she says not everybody in this country supports Joe Biden when it comes to this issue, well, what exactly is she talking about? Because in the last few weeks, what Joe Biden has said on the record is, yes, he's going to stand by Israel. He's going to call out Hamas for being the terrorist organization that they are. What Americans are against that? Why is that wrong? And there are people out there that have a problem with Joe Biden flying out to Israel yesterday. Why? Now, make no mistake about it. Some of Tlaib's statements are the reason why we had what took place on Capitol Hill yesterday. Now, what did it sound like? Well, I can give you a little bit of background on this rally. We had at least 300 people that were arrested yesterday. It was a Jewish-led rally at the U.S. Capitol calling for the ceasefire in Gaza. Basically what they're, and now listen, I disagree with what they're saying. I disagree with what many of these people are saying in their opinions on Capitol Hill. A few people did assault some officers and they were arrested, and that's wrong and that's horrible. This rally was organized by the Jewish Voice for Peace, and If Not Now. These are two Jewish groups that have focused their criticism on Israel and accused it of genocide, which obviously I disagree with. Now, the organizers said it drew a total of 10,000 people. I don't know if that's true or not, inside and outside the Capitol. Now, the problem that I have here is that there are people on the far right, bozos, that are comparing this to January 6th. There's no comparison. On January 6th, it was an attempt to overthrow our democracy. People died that day. Over 140 officers were injured. Over 1,000 people were convicted. There is no comparison between what took place yesterday and January 6th. So let me be very clear on that. For the idiots out there like the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, it's absolutely moronic. Here's what it sounded like on Capitol Hill yesterday during this protest. I want to play a little snippet of it. This is kind of what it sounded like. Have a listen to this. So that's kind of what it sounded like. And for people that don't have the facts and for people on social media that don't understand what took place on January 6th, there was a woman outside the Capitol that was trampled on the steps. If you don't believe me, you can look that up. She died. There was also a woman named Ashley Babbitt who was shot and killed. So that's 2 people that lost their lives. And then there were officers, of course, in the days, weeks, and months after that committed suicide, and family members said they were never the same after that day on January 6th. So take that for what you will. There is zero comparison to what took place on January 6th to what took place yesterday. The protesters yesterday, while some of them were arrested, and I don't condone their behavior and I don't agree with their opinions, they were not defecating inside the Capitol chambers. They weren't stealing anything inside the Capitol. Over 140 officers weren't injured. Nobody died yesterday, thank God. There is no comparison between to what took place yesterday and January 6th. But if you listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Three-Toe Marjorie, here's what she had to say in regards, and this was during the situation that took place yesterday, and at the end of the clip, there's actually a pro-Palestinian person that addresses her. But have a listen to Three-Toe Marjorie.
These people are not for peace. You can tell it's the same kind of movement that started with BLM, and it'll be the same kind of violent movement later on. They don't want peace. So let Gaza live! Let Gaza live!
The same kind of movement that started with BLM. That is so blatantly false and ignorant on so many fronts. First of all, I agree with the BLM movement. That has nothing to do with the organization or the 7 or 8 people that have taken advantage of it and made millions of dollars. I'm talking about the movement. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is so stupid that she fails to understand that the BLM movement was about equality. I'm not talking about the organization. I'm talking about the movement. I'm not talking about the violence. I'm talking about the movement. The movement started because of George Floyd, a man who was murdered. Doesn't matter what George Floyd did in his life. George Floyd was murdered, and that's why Derek Chauvin was convicted, and he is a murderer. George Floyd was murdered. That knee on his neck for 9 minutes. That's how the movement, for the most part, started. And the movement throughout the country was about equality. It was about equality. The movement was about police brutality and treating people as equals. That had nothing to do with what took place yesterday. Now, I disagree with those who were protesting yesterday, but there was no, in my opinion, social equivalence. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, has absolutely no idea what she is talking about, and she's an extremely ignorant woman that doesn't have an understanding of history. Remember when she compared Nazi Germany to kids wearing masks? Only an extremely ignorant person would do that and not understand that Nazi Germany, 7 million Jews were killed. And to compare that to having somebody putting on a mask, it's extremely ignorant. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is wrong. Tlaib is wrong. I'm not talking about people who are pro-Palestinian people. That's not what I'm talking about right now. If you're pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestine, that's another issue, and I think it's a fair conversation to have. That's not what Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about. And again, the people that were protesting yesterday, while those who were protesting peacefully, you have a right to do so, I disagree with them. Israel has not committed genocide here. The people who have committed genocide are the people of Hamas. And if you can't call out Hamas, which Tlaib clearly can't do, if you can't call out Hamas, then what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? I'll tell you somebody that I will give some credit for, and that's Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather flew out to Israel. He has been helping the Israeli people. He has donated funds, donated money, and while I've at times been very critical of Floyd Mayweather, I applaud him for doing that. He's certainly on the right side, and I think he's doing the right thing. I think when I say the right side, here's what I mean. You could be pro-Palestine, and meaning you don't want innocent Palestinians to die. Guess what? I don't want innocent Palestinians to die either. You can be pro-Palestine and be pro-Israel. Why can't you be both? Why can't people come together and say what Hamas did? They're a terrorist organization. It was awful. It was genocide. It was wrong. We need to conquer Hamas. We don't want innocent Palestinians to die. We don't want innocent Israelis to die. Why can't we do both? It's just like the BLM topic that I talk about on this show all the time. Why can't you be pro-police and be pro-BLM movement? Notice how I didn't say organization. Why can't you be pro-police and be pro-BLM movement? That's who I am. I'm pro-Israel and I am pro-Palestine from a sense that I don't want innocent Palestinians to die. I want the Palestinians to be free. I want the Israelis to be free. I want there to be peace in the Middle East. We need to come together, whether you're pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel or both, and call out the evil, which is Hamas. Why can't we do both? Why is that so hard? That's the part that I really don't understand and don't get. And then there's complete despicable morons who are trying to score political points from this, blaming Joe Biden, by the way, for Hamas and their genocide, which is absurd. And then there's people like Ronna McDaniel, who is the GOP chair, who went on Fox News, and I want to play this clip for you, calling it a great opportunity. Yes, that's right. She called it this whole situation a great opportunity for Republicans. Have a listen to this.
Absolutely. I think this is a great opportunity for our candidates to contrast where Republicans have stood with Israel time and time again. Absolutely.
A great opportunity. What a despicable human being. And again, I put her in the same category as Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thousands of innocent Israelis were murdered, raped, beheaded, tortured, taken from their homes. And McDaniel, the GOP chair, is calling it a great opportunity for Republicans. You have to be a special type of despicable person to characterize it as such. To look at every situation as an opportunity to maybe hopefully score political points. This isn't a great opportunity for anybody. Thousands of innocent people have died and have been tortured and raped. And she goes on national TV and she calls it a great opportunity. How despicable of an individual do you have to be to make a statement like that? I will say this. We need to stop helping the Iranian government. We need to stop funding them. I'm glad that Joe Biden froze that $6 billion. It can never be touched by Iran ever again. Give it back to our people or help the Israeli people. But to call it a great opportunity, how ignorant and how despicable are you to use it in those terms? It's ridiculous. Listen, there are people on both sides, Republican and Democrat, that are on the wrong side of history here. It's not a great opportunity. But Republicans and Democrats need to come together, and I think for the most part on this issue, they have. In this sense, that we need to call out Hamas for being the terrorist organization that it is. Doesn't matter whether you're in Gaza. It doesn't matter whether you're pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel. We all need to agree that Hamas is a terrorist organization, a hate organization that has no regard for human life. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether it's just Israelis. They've also used innocent Palestinians as human shields. This is a terrorist group that wants to kill innocent people and has no regard for human life. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, and I don't care whether you're living in Gaza, Israel, or Palestine. You need to call that out. And if we can't start from there and agree there, then we can't have a conversation. I'm sorry, we can't. Then from there, we talk about how Israel should respond to this, how the Palestinians should respond to this. And those are fair conversations to have. But make no mistake about it. Hamas is a terrorist group. There is no comparison between January 6th and what happened yesterday in the House chambers. None. Zero. Stop making those analogies and stop trying to compare the two, because there is no comparisons. And mark my words, the only people that are making those comparisons are MAGAs, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, the Sean Hannitys of the world. All right, so here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a break, and I want to take your phone calls on the other side. What are your thoughts on Tlaib? What are your thoughts on what Tlaib has, the statements that she's made in failing to call out Hamas? What are your thoughts on Joe Biden's visit to Israel yesterday? What are your thoughts on Republicans and those on the far right that are trying to compare what took place on Capitol Hill yesterday in the pro-Palestine protest to January 6th? I'm asking you all those questions, and I want to get your side of this, and I want you to call in. Here's the number, 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation. I know we already have some people on hold. I will take calls on the other side. A lot to get to. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. We'll take some phone calls on the other side. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on-site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. And tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzones, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
The National Atomic Testing Museum is a national science, history, and educational institution that tells the story of America's nuclear weapons testing program at the Nevada Test Site. Located at 755 East Flamingo Road, just east of Paradise, the museum offers immersive, interactive experts for guests of all ages. The museum is Smithsonian certified and open 7 days a week. For more information, visit nationalatomictestingmuseum.org. That's nationalatomictestingmuseum.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot to talk about, a lot to get to. You know, I have a lot of criticism for certain members of the squad. Tlaib, for example, Ilhan Omar, they're anti-Israel. I understand Tlaib is pro-Palestine. She's Palestinian, and I expect that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What's wrong is blaming Israel for this explosion at this hospital in Gaza, where the evidence is overwhelming. The video evidence is overwhelming. And even members of Hamas have even taken responsibility for it by now. So for her to still blame Israel for this is so irresponsible, and it's disgusting, and it can incite violence, and it's wrong. We're talking about that, and of course we're talking about this pro-Palestinian rally in the House chambers inside and outside yesterday. The number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. I know we have some people on hold. We'll get to all of you. Let's start off with Patrick. Patrick is first on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Brian. And wanted to talk about Hamas and condemning Hamas. I think we all shouldn't be a stretch for everybody to be able to condemn Hamas. But
it shouldn't.
Same time,
I agree with you, but yet it seems like there are people that are not doing so, like Tlaib.
Yeah, well, she's not of concern to me. Really, what we also need to be able to condemn and recognize is the intelligence failure by Israel in creating and propping up Hamas. And Netanyahu for years saying that's part of their strategy to use Hamas as a dividing conquer technique there in Palestine. So
I can't speak to Netanyahu, but I will say this: it is fair to ask the questions, and hopefully we will get answers as to the failures of Israel in not being able to protect their own people. That is a very, very fair thing to ask, and hopefully we will get those answers, because this can't happen again.
But also this whole idea of funding both sides and getting involved in foreign nations' politics. We've done it many nations, and it never seems to work out. And Israel has blood on their hands for propping up Hamas.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to go there with you. I refuse to go there with you.
We need to recognize that it's true.
No,
and we
I'm
also
not
need
going to
to
recognize that because I don't believe that Israel's responsible for Hamas. No, I disagree with you on that. If you want to go with that, that's on you, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and say that Israel has funded Hamas. What I will say is that the Iranian government has funded Hamas, and there are some, not all, not the majority, but some Palestinians that seem to be pro-Hamas. Anybody that is pro-Hamas needs to be called out for it, but until I see actual evidence that Israel has funded Hamas, I'm not going to agree with you on that. I'm not.
Mehdi Hassan, you're a fan of him, and you posted on Twitter, on your Twitter.
I'm not necessarily a fan of his. I like the way he interviews certain people, but I don't like some of his anti-Israel rhetoric in the last few weeks. I don't.
Did you read his book on negotiating? Because you sure negotiate like him and talk like him.
No, I do not. No. I did not read his book, any of his books. I have not.
And on the 40 beheaded babies, it sounds like Biden had to walk back his statement saying that he saw evidence of that. And
well, there is evidence that babies were beheaded. It may not have been 40, but I've actually seen video, and some babies have been beheaded. That has been true. That is true. Whether it's 40 or not, I don't know.
And the Shapiro video, or the clip of the charcoal dead baby, which awful, was AI generated. So I think we just need to calm down on some of this stuff.
I don't think we need to calm down when it comes to Hamas. I disagree with you. We don't need to calm down.
Bad things.
Women have been raped.
Credibility.
Women have been raped. Hold on a second. We don't need to calm down when it comes to calling out Hamas. I disagree with you. Women have been raped. Families have been torn apart. Thousands of Israelis have been killed, and they still have people as hostage. So I disagree with you. I am not going to calm down when it comes to calling out Hamas, and I don't think anybody should.
But we don't have to exaggerate the situation. Things are bad enough.
How do we have to exaggerate it when women have been raped and murdered and bludgeoned? We've seen the videos. I don't see how anybody can exaggerate any more than already have we seen on video. Babies have been beheaded
Sarah
and burned
Snyder
alive.
From CNN has come back and retract the statement about the 40 beheaded babies.
Okay, so what?
Said that we don't have evidence of
So what? Let me tell you something. If people want to exaggerate Hamas, then I don't have a problem with that, and I really don't care. They're a terrorist organization that has killed thousands and thousands of innocent people, and including Palestinian people, by the way, as well.
Funded. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not my concern. If people want to exaggerate, how bad Hamas is, I don't think you can make Hamas any worse than they are. So I really don't have a problem with that.
Well, you and the administration is losing credibility because.
How have I lost credibility? What have I said that's not true?
Well, you said that Hamas never had Israel had never had anything to do with propping up Hamas.
I said I don't have any evidence that Israel has funded Hamas. I don't lose credibility.
And last time you were on the phone, you were criticizing me, yelling at me, telling me that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Well, yeah, it is ridiculous because there's no evidence to prove it. If you make a statement, where is the evidence that Israel has funded Hamas? Where's the evidence? Where can I go and see that?
I've already showed you. You can look up Mehdi Hassan's video and
where
and
is the evidence that Israel has funded Hamas?
Or you want to listen to what I'm going to have to say? Qatar sends funds to Israel that Israel then sends to Hamas, or not Hamas, Hamas.
Okay, I think you. All right, I'll tell you what. You can call back again. I think you sound a little confused, Patrick. I appreciate you calling in. You seem a bit confused. Where these funds have gone. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you have all the bank accounts and you have all the receipts to prove what you're saying, Patrick. But no, I'm not going to sit here and say that Israel, the state of Israel, has funded the terrorist group Hamas that has terrorized Israeli people and killed thousands of people. No, I'm not going to go on that, and I'm not going to agree with you on that because I think you're wrong. 702-221-7283. Again, the number 702-221-7283. Who do we have next year? I believe we have Damon. Damon, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Brian? I get what you're saying when you say, how can you, why can't it be possible to support both of them? I just think the BLM thing is a bad analogy.
Why?
But when I think about it, me personally, you say why?
Yeah.
Because the police went to the Supreme Court and lobbied that it's not part of their job to protect. So if it's established by the Supreme Court, it's not your job to protect, then you're only there to lock people up.
Well, here's what I mean by what I say, pro-police and pro-Black Lives Matter movement. I believe, and you could tell me, again, you probably disagree with me on this, I believe there are more good cops than bad cops out there. I believe that there are more cops out there that risk their life every day and do their job well. There are certainly some bad cops out there also. I would never deny that, like in any profession. But I can still shake a police officer's hand on the streets and say, thank you for what you do. And in general, be pro-police, not pro-bad police, pro-good cops, and also be pro-Black Lives Matter movement and be like, everybody should be treated as equals. And if there are bad cops out there and people aren't treated as equals, we need to call that out as well. That's what I mean by pro-police.
Yeah, I get that, Brian. I get it. But that's thinking ideally. But the thing is, the genesis of the Black Lives Movement is our lives matter. Quit killing us. Quit locking us up. Quit throwing the book at us while you slap the white people on the hand. Slap on the wrist. Yeah. That's the whole genesis of the movement, is that we're tired of being treated this way by the police.
I understand that, and I don't discount that, and I would never sit here and say what you're saying is there's no credence to it. What I am saying is I don't think the overwhelming majority of police officers are doing that. That's all.
No, I get that, but they're complicit, Brian. That's all. If you're complicit, you just
perhaps,
if you're
but
gonna
I
sit there
still
and watch
think you can,
just like raping her.
For example, when people generalize all police officers as pigs, I think that's wrong. When people, pigs in a blanket, those types of statements, I think when you generalize like that, there are good cops out there that are decent, good people, and they're heroes. Definitely. And I don't like that sort of rhetoric. I just don't like that.
I get it, Brian, but the thing is, if you're going to go all the way to the Supreme Court to say we don't have to protect you,
well, listen, the reason when you're talking about that specific case, and I know exactly what you're talking about, it is not the police officer's job to protect everybody in society. It is their job to enforce the law. And that comes from lawsuits perspective and civil suits. A police officer doesn't have to protect everybody, but it's a police officer's job to enforce the law. I think that was from that subcourt perspective that they were coming from.
Right. It was about the kid and the father and all. But the thing is, if you're not there to protect, you're not a hero then. If you just there to enforce the law, and most of the laws
you can enforce the law and be killed on the job or injured on the job. And as you know, many police officers protect people. Yeah, you know, when you're the victim of a home invasion, when you're getting robbed or whatever the case may be, the first people you call are the police, and they come. And even though it's not necessarily their job to protect you, we know many police officers do that.
Yeah, but John Brian, I ain't never called the police, and I never will, because I might be the one who end up getting locked up. You done seen the videos on YouTube. I've never called the police. I always handle my own business.
Okay, I mean, that's your prerogative. You don't have to call 911.
Oh, no, I wouldn't take the risk of getting locked up, Brian. I ain't about to invite a wolf into the chicken coop. I ain't doing that. They want to lock me up. When they look at me, they like, I would like to lock you up.
Then I feel bad for you that you feel that way, and I feel horrible that you feel that way, because you should feel comfortable in being able to call the police if there's an issue, and I feel bad that you don't feel comfortable in doing that, and you're probably not the only one. I understand that, but at the same time, going back, I'm trying to make the analogy to that and what's going on in the Middle East. We all should agree as Americans, we don't want innocent people to die. It could be innocent Israelis, it could be innocent Palestinians, and why not be pro-Palestine and pro-Israel at the same time? And I just don't see a lot of that happening, just like I don't see a lot of people being pro-police and pro-BLM.
Right. But like I say, Brian, I know somebody personally. I like to talk to people personally, and the Palestine woman that I talked to, and been talking to her for probably the last 2 years on these subjects, she has a totally different view. And when I asked the rabbi the other day online, he sounded like Donald Trump. I have never heard a person say perfect more times than Donald Trump, and that makes my antennas go up when you say a government is perfect, because people ain't perfect.
Well, there's no government that's perfect.
The government ain't perfect. How can the government be perfect?
There's no government
about 10 times, right?
Of course.
And I'm like, that's scary.
Well, there's no government that's perfect, and I would obviously disagree with that statement. There's no person that's perfect, no entity that's perfect. At the same time, we have a lot of issues in this country. I'm glad that Joe Biden flew out to Israel yesterday. He's certainly not perfect either, but I'll take him over Donald Trump any day of the week. Hey, my man Damon, it's good to hear from you as always, my friend. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it, sir. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. I believe Gary is next. What's up, Gary?
I just want to weigh in a little bit with what little I know, that the West Bank, they have a whole coast over there with the Mediterranean. They could have hotels, couldn't they? They could have a tourism industry. They could be a really great spot for people to go visit and stuff. But all these maniacs are shooting rockets and threatening Israel, and they just can't get over it. I mean,
well, you are right, Gary. In this aspect, I agree with you that it is a beautiful piece of land. I mean, it's beautiful out there in the Middle East. I don't know if you've ever been out there. I've been to Israel. I've been to Egypt. It is, it's just some beautiful landmarks out there, and it's unfortunate. And you're right. If it was safe out there and we didn't have these types of conflicts, then you're right. It probably would be a wonderful tourist stop. But I don't want to be anywhere near there. I don't want to be anywhere near Israel, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Palestine. I don't want to be anywhere around that because it's not safe.
Hey, for a change, you and I agree. We have plenty of time, plenty of days ahead. We can have some really heated arguments. You can hang up on me, but it's a horrible shame. I think that I wish I lived in a different world. I'm almost over in this world. I hate war. War is stupid, and war is going on, and I'm sick and tired of it. And I hate there's evil people in there, and I don't know what the answer is. So you have a good day.
I appreciate that, Gary, and I don't disagree with you. You have a good day as well. Look, I'm not an extremely religious person, and I really don't care what people think about that. I'm not an atheist. I'd like to believe that there's a God out there, but I'm not a religious person. Because I believe religion does far more bad for people than good. Look at all the people that have died because of their religion. And by the way, it happens right here in this country as well. People, look at the synagogue in Pittsburgh. Look at the church, I believe, in Georgia. People praying and just doing their thing, and they're killed. Why? Because they're praying to God. And what I don't like is it when religious people, it could be a rabbi, it could be a priest, and they say, well, it was their time to go, or God has a plan for you. No, he doesn't, because if there is a God out there, why would he want innocent women and children killed while praying? So I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's a very difficult topic, but I'm not an extremely religious person because I believe that religion does far more bad for people than good. I understand sometimes religion is a really good thing, and I totally understand that. But, at the same time, I'm not a religious person for a lot of different reasons. I never have been. I probably never will be. That's just my opinion. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brock. Brock is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Brock.
Hey, Hey, I was listening to what you're saying about the Hamas situation, and what are your thoughts about the gate letting all the people out? Because I don't think it's right to keep all the gates closed and keep it as a siege. Because, I mean, that's going to cause, there's like 2 million people there.
Right.
And I feel like they need to let people out, even though I know they need to find Hamas, but I'm just really concerned about all the innocent people there.
Well, Brock, I think that's a very fair question that you ask, and this is a very complex and difficult situation. I think we both agree we want Israel to do whatever it takes to get rid of Hamas, and I would hope that the Palestinian people would be on board with that as well. But at the same time, you're right. There are people that are trapped there. I don't want innocent people to die. I know you don't either. I don't know. I mean, you got me. I don't know what Israel should do. I don't know what the best way. You know what would be wonderful? And I know this is never going to happen, Brock. If the Palestinian people and the Israeli people could come together and say, we need to get rid of Hamas. Let's work together. We don't want to kill your people. You don't want to kill our people. Let's find a way to work together and get rid of this horrible terrorist organization that is bad for both of us. I mean, in a perfect world, that would be the best answer, right?
Yeah, and I was reading online where, like, I was thinking, because I don't know enough about the situation, but I was like, why can't there be a two-state solution?
Yeah.
And it sounds like they tried to do that, and they just hate each other. So I don't know. It's really difficult.
I think from Americans, Brock, you sound like a smart guy. I think from an American standpoint, if we could just all think this way, for example, let's all agree that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Doesn't matter whether you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, and they need to be wiped off the face of the earth. And when people like Tlaib refuse to call out Hamas, it's very bad for this political discourse. So that's number one. Number two, we all need to understand that Israel is our ally. With that being said, Israel has a responsibility to not kill innocent people. We also know in war, innocent people are going to die. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. And number three, we can't lie as Americans and incite violence and say Israel was responsible for a bombing or a disaster that took place like at the hospital in Gaza. It's very dangerous. And I think as Americans, it's our responsibility to do those three things. We're not going to agree on everything, but that's what I think we need to do moving forward right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the show, man.
Thanks, Brock.
I'll let you go, but take care.
Thanks, brother. Call back anytime. Appreciate the call, Brock. 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. Now let's go to Ahmed, who joins us right now on the line. Ahmed, thank you for calling in. How are you?
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you doing? It's an honor.
Doing good. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
Thank you so much. I have a question for you, Brian.
Sure.
I saw a lot of Jewish that were protesting the state of Israel, okay? And
yesterday, yeah.
They said Israel doesn't have the right to exist. In your video, you said a lot of Palestinians do not believe Israel should exist. Are these Israelis anti-Semites?
Well, I think they're idiots, number one.
No. Are they? You said the Palestinian who
so
don't
you're asking
believe
me
that
if
the
a
state,
Jewish...
if Israel do not exist.
I think it's a...
anti-Semitism. And what about these Jewish people?
Sure. I think that's a very fair question, and I'll give you an honest answer. It doesn't matter whether you're Jewish or whether you're Palestinian. If you take the side of Israel shouldn't exist, I think it's an anti-Semitic approach. And it doesn't matter to me whether you're Jewish or not, whether you're an Israeli American or whether you're in Palestine. Quite frankly,
you just
it
said
is.
You are not a religious person. Like, are you better than them with their religion? Of course not.
I'm not
They have
better
been
than anybody else. And that's
Judaism
but Ahmed,
and
that's
their
the problem with
entire
religion.
life.
That's the problem with religion. Your religion, I'm not talking about you, I'm saying in general. People think my religion is better than yours. I'm right and you're wrong. I don't tell people what to do. Believe in whatever the hell you want to believe. I just choose not to be an extremely religious person. That's just me.
Because yesterday, like, it's like when I told you, like, a lot of Palestinians want to, Israel to exist, and you said no, not a lot of like that. Because a lot of you white folks in the 60s, like you say, the vast majority of black people are violent people, okay? And it's like, I don't know if you're like ignorant or racist. I'm not sure about that, but like, it's like you are getting, it's like, I feel you are wrong and you have to open your eyes.
Right.
You have to, I feel you are not educated enough about this subject yet.
Well, Ahmed, there's a lot
I
of
believe
hateful...
Israel should exist.
Yes.
And we need a two-state solution.
I don't disagree with that. I really don't. What we don't want is innocent people to die. It doesn't matter whether it's a Israeli child or a Palestinian child or a mother or whoever.
What have you been before, like 5 weeks ago? There are like 200 Palestinians who died. Israel shoot journalists in their legs. A lot of journalists
There are a lot of
without legs.
Every day in the Middle East, there are attacks and people die. The reason why we're talking about it in the last few weeks is because of this horrific attack that took place.
Because they are white.
Where there were thousands. There were thousands of casualties.
Because they are white. Because you guys only get like angry about white folks when it's like they are the
Okay, so Ahmed, I got to stop you right there because that's where you're 150% wrong about my beliefs, and you're making a judgment about me because I'm white. First of all, I went to Black Lives.
1 million Iraqis have.
Okay. Ahmed, you're wrong.
In Iraq, and you guys were not offended by that.
Ahmed,
your government really lied to you.
Okay, Ahmed.
And you are not offended by that.
Okay, Ahmed, I got to stop you there. And I got to tell you, what you're saying right now is very offensive. I have been very clear, and I've said this even in this phone. Hold on. You got to listen to me.
That's what, like,
you got to, Ahmed. With all due respect, you got to let me respond to what you just said. Okay, I've said even in this conversation with you, it doesn't matter whether an innocent person dies in Israel or Palestine or anywhere in the world. I don't want innocent people to die. The reason why we're talking about what's going on in Israel and Palestine and the Gaza Strip right now is because we had the worst terrorist attack in Israeli history where thousands of Israelis died. That's why we're talking about it. It doesn't discount any innocent person that died in Iraq or Iran or anywhere. So to say because I'm white, I only care about, I guess that's what you're claiming, that I only care about if an Israeli dies, is not only not factually accurate,
I did not
but
say Israeli because they were white. Okay.
I don't understand why you would make that statement and make that assumption because it's not true. It's certainly not true about me. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't want innocent people to die. I can't be more clearer than that. I don't know why you would make that assertion about
because
me.
When we say like about the Palestinians, you said no, you are up with Hamas. You cannot say free Palestine and be like support with the Jewish people.
That's not true. I've said on this show.
Hamas. You guys always say it over and over and over.
If you listen to actually what I say and take emotion out of it, I've said you can be pro-Palestine and pro-Israel. Do you know how many times I've said that? Ahmed, do you know how many times I've said that in the last couple weeks where we should be pro-Palestine and pro-Israel? I've said that on this show a dozen times. So what you're misquoting what I've said, and I think you're misunderstanding my approach here. I want innocent people to live, and I don't care what part of the world you're on. I want Hamas a terrorist group of animals to all be taken out. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care where you're from. I want bad people taken out, and I want innocent people to survive and live free. It could be Palestinian people or it could be Israeli people. I'm not sure I can be more clear than that, Ahmed. I appreciate it.
I hope you practice what you're preaching.
Well, where's your
Seriously,
evidence that I haven't practiced
beautiful.
that? But where's your evidence that I haven't practiced that, and why would you make that assumption about me?
You just said in your video a lot of Palestinians hate Israel and they are anti-Semitic.
I said that I believe that there are a lot of Palestinians that do not believe that Israel should exist. You don't think that's true, and I know you said on the show that you think 9 out of 10 Palestinians are pro-Israel. I disagree with you on that.
No one is pro-Israel, dude. It's just
Then where are all the Palestinians calling out Hamas?
It's here. It's not going to anywhere.
Then where are all the Palestinians calling out Hamas? We have Palestinians in this country that refuse to call out Hamas.
You did to us in 9/11. Why you are not calling Al Qaeda? You guys are radical Muslim. Why you are? It's just where are you from calling the Israelis bombing the Palestinians?
What are you talking
literally
about?
controlling their waters?
And
not
what do you
allowing
mean- and what do you
them
mean,
to
you
dig
guys?
up walls.
What group are you putting me in? What do you mean, you guys? I don't understand what you mean by that either.
The liberal establishment.
Okay, so
Because
there's
you
where
guys
you're
do this
wrong once
over and
again.
over
Hold on,
and over,
Ahmed.
and we guys
Ahmed,
are
Ahmed,
exposed.
I need you to listen and learn now. I'm a registered
Mhm.
independent. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. I believe in capital punishment. I believe in border security. So now you've just made another judgment about me that is blatantly false. I've always been a registered independent, and I am not a liberal. Hello? Have a nice day, Ahmed. Are you there? Okay, I think we lost Ahmed. Again, I don't appreciate people making judgments about me. And when you use the term you people, I don't know what he was referring to, but he claimed liberal establishment. I'm not a part of any establishment. I'm a part of the Brian Shapiro establishment. These are my opinions. These are my thoughts. And then he tries to make the claim that I don't care about brown people dying in other parts of the world. Couldn't be further from the truth. See, people just don't want logic and fact. Ahmed didn't want logic and fact. I said from the beginning, I don't want innocent people to die. It doesn't matter whether you're in Israel or Palestine. I want the violence to stop. I want people to live their life. I want there to be happy. I don't. Ahmed got me fired up. But anyway, I don't think he wanted to hear truth, logic. I don't think he wanted to hear a perspective of you can be pro-Palestine and be pro-Israel. And I don't like people who make judgments on others or make an assertion about me because I'm white. That's exactly the kind of rhetoric that we shouldn't have in this country and, quite frankly, in the world. There are innocent children in Israel, in Palestine, on the Gaza Strip that are frightened for their life. And keep in mind, this wouldn't be happening at this moment if a group called Hamas, a terrorist organization, didn't decide to kill a bunch of innocent Israelis and torture them. That's why we have what's going on right now in the Middle East. You can disagree with the way Israel is defending themselves. You can disagree with what's going on the Gaza Strip right now. That's fine. That's a fair conversation to have. But to say that because I'm white and that an American is white, that they don't care about innocent people in Saudi Arabia, innocent people in the Middle East dying is so inaccurate. And again, it's the generalization of I must be from the liberal establishment, which is, again, a very ignorant, stupid statement. And I'm very disappointed that he made those assertions about me because not only are they not true, but I think they're borderline racist in itself. He's taking me because I'm white and he's trying to make an assumption about me because of the color of my skin. Isn't that what racism is? Very disappointing. All right, everybody, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch topics a little bit here. Well, a lot, actually. The The Las Vegas Aces have won back-to-back WNBA championships. We're going to break down the game with 11-year NBA veteran, 20-year coach Paul McKeskey. He's going to be joining us next. Why is James Harden still not showing up to practice? We'll talk a little bit about that as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
When you bring your vehicle to Star Auto Care for maintenance, you'll have a team of professionals at your service. Every one of our technicians has been factory trained and master status certified to ensure that you receive the highest quality and most effective service. Star Auto Care is located at 3540 East Tropicana Avenue, just east of Pecos. Star Auto Care is confident in their prices and will match any mechanic located within 20 miles. Bring your vehicle in today and let Star Auto Care give you the peace of mind you deserve when you service your car. Visit them online at starautocare.us.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on-site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex, and tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get to the Las Vegas Aces here in a moment with Paul McKeskey. But, you know, I'm asked this question all the time. I see people all the time, and they ask me all the time. They'll say, Brian, what's your radio show all about? And here's the best way I can describe what I do on the radio, and I feel like what I do on the radio is like what no one else is doing. There are a lot of political hosts out there that don't know enough about sports, and they don't talk sports. There's a lot of sports hosts out there that if they don't talk about politics, either they don't know how to or they're asked not to. And I throw entertainment in there as well. I talk about the biggest news stories of the day, the biggest political stories of the day, and I add that with the biggest sports stories of the day. And when people ask me in a nutshell, what's your show all about? Yeah, I'll tell them about that, but I'll say, one segment I'll have the First Lady on. I've had Dr. Jill Biden on this show before. And then the next segment, I'll have Jenna Jameson on. That's what I do here. I switch topics. I talk about different topics. I have fun doing it. The biggest stories of the day from an opinionated standpoint. And I try to share that with our listeners, and I make it very interactive, and I take calls. And that's what I do on Pushing the Limits, and that ain't changing, and I'm going to continue to do it every day, something that I don't believe anybody else in the country is doing, covering it all from sports, entertainment, politics, you name it, I talk about it. All right, so I wanted to make that clear for everybody. The Las Vegas Aces are back-to-back WNBA champions, and what better person to talk about it than the 12-year NBA veteran and 20-year coach. Of course, I'm talking about Paul McKeskey joining us, the big green jolly giant, as I like to call him, Paul McKeskey. Mr. McKeskey, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm not the jolly giant.
Fair enough. So
we can lose that right now.
So Paul, I'm a little upset and happy at the same time. I have mixed emotions on the game yesterday because me and Vivica A. Fox were supposed to be going to the game on Friday, and there is no game 5. At the same time, the Las Vegas Aces are back-to-back WNBA championships, and we're going to get into the positives and everything going on with the Aces, and I'm going to give full credit to the Aces. I don't want to take anything away from them, and we'll get to that. But how horrible were the Liberty last night, particularly in the second, third, and fourth quarter? They're scoring 12 points, 14 points. How horrible was Breonna Stewart? She's supposed to be the MVP. I can probably pick some high school players that would have played better than her. She was awful. And I think it says a lot about, and again, people are going to think I'm being too tough on Breonna Stewart. You have somebody guarding you that's a foot shorter than you, and you get the ball before you're double teamed, and you're looking to pass. You're the MVP. You have to take that shot. And she was terrible throughout the whole game, and she wasn't the only one. They couldn't make a shot. And then I find it interesting because at the beginning of, I believe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter, when New York Liberty's coach is getting interviewed by the, which, by the way, I don't like that. I don't think a coach should have to do it. That's absurd. A coach
you're trying to win a game.
Yeah, a coach shouldn't be. Yeah. But her team just scored 13 points in 10 minutes. And when asked, what do you guys need to do better? She said, well, we got to play better defense. No, you don't. You just scored 13 points. You need to make shots. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of her as a head coach. I think it's a joke that Breonna Stewart got the MVP. Is she a good player? Yes. Is she an all-star? Yes. I don't even think she's a top 5 player in the league. A'ja Wilson is the best female basketball player in the world. She proved it again yesterday. Breonna Stewart was atrocious. She couldn't have played any worse in the biggest moment, arguably, of her career. And I give all the credit, of course, to the Aces, but I also say how bad the Liberty performed yesterday, and they were not coached well. That's my take on it. And Becky Hammond is a fabulous coach. She did it again. Back-to-back champions. A'ja Wilson was great. Jackie Young made shots there towards the end of the game. And yeah, I'll say that they stepped up defensively, and they were physical, and they did what they needed to do on the glass. And other than the first quarter, I mean, I thought they not only matched the Liberty's intensity, but they outperformed.
Yeah, I mean, Breonna Stewart is the season MVP. So her numbers in the season were great, and whether you argue that she was the season MVP or Wilson was or whoever, that's an argument to be had. But she was atrocious in the whole playoffs. I saw a stat last night. She shot 17% in the playoffs. That's so below what, even if you had a bad series, you would shoot 30%.
Right.
And she shot 17. I'm going to say, you were at the game, game 2, I think, and you mentioned to me that it looked like her knee wasn't right, and they were kind of treating it differently.
Maybe there's something wrong with her.
Yeah, but I'm not making a mistake. Like that last play, if you're taller, better, a scorer, and you get the ball in that situation with a littler person on you, You could ask, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Akeem Olajuwon, go down the list, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, double teams at that point during the game, you need to kick it out and let your teammates help you. But at that point of the game, you need to take the shot. And my point is, there was like 7 or 8 seconds left. She could have took the shot after 3 or 4 seconds, even with a double team.
Right.
And Jones, her teammate, who's one of the best offensive rebounders I've seen as a woman, is underneath the basket. She's planted there. If you count, she was in the lane for 10 seconds. She was in the lane the whole time.
Right.
And she could have got the rebound and put it back at the very best.
They're never calling a 3-second violation in that situation.
Yeah, no, and they were only down 1 point, right?
Right.
So you didn't need a 3. You didn't, even if you get fouled and you make one free throw, it goes into overtime. So, I thought the play worked. You got the ball in your best player's hands with a chance to win the game. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Now it's up to the player to do what she's supposed to do. I'll credit the Aces because they rotated out of that half double team and ran at the first kick out and made her pass to the corner to a person. When you see her take the shot, there's no way she didn't want to take it. She didn't think she was going to make it. Just watch her body language. She was like, really quick release, get it out of here, hope it goes in.
Right.
And she shot an air ball.
Yeah.
But if there was 1 more second on the clock, Liberty would have won that game.
With the offensive rebound.
Jones got the offensive rebound and put it back. But as far as, I don't like to criticize coaches, but if I'm the Liberty coach and I have my full team and I'm playing the Aces and they're down their starting center who plays on one of my best players, Jones, all game and absorbs fouls and does that. And then the point guard, so I'm going to play my game. And I just saw, I think, Jones, who is one of the best scorers down low that I've seen.
Didn't get any touches.
She didn't get any touches. And
horrible coaching.
So there's 2 reasons to give her touches. Number 1, so she can score.
Right.
Number 2, to get Asia Wilson and those people in foul trouble, so they have to be out of the game in the fourth quarter.
I could not agree with you more. And as I'm watching the game, I swear to you, I said, what is this coach doing? Listen, I do criticize coaches, although I didn't criticize you when you were the Hartford Hellcats head coach.
Yeah, you did.
No,
In your
I
head
did.
you did.
No,
Yes,
I was 12 years old. I didn't know how to criticize.
But on the other side, and I like Becky Hammonds. I think she's a good coach. I don't, what's his name said last night, the best coach in come on, man.
Well, that's a little ridiculous.
Come on, man. Popovich, Kerr.
Listen,
and I told you this last year because Becky Hammonds was rumored because she had been on the Spurs bench for a long time in the NBA to be the first female head coach in the NBA.
Right.
And I told you last year that her door has closed. This might have opened it back up for a minute, and here's the reason why. Because it's easier. A lot of coaches can win with the best talent. I got the best talent. I got the best talent better than you. I'm going to win those games 90% of the time. And I could do half-ass coaching. But last night, she won on a hostile crowd, 16,000 fans pulling for the Liberty, a loaded team, and she figured out a way. I mean, I criticize her. Her bench isn't deep enough because she doesn't let it be.
Right.
Because she only plays 6 players.
Right.
And now when you get 2 down, now you're in trouble because those other 7 and 8 haven't played hardly at all. Now, some of them stepped up last night.
They did.
But she manipulated her roster.
Yep.
Now, you're talking about, Plum played 40 minutes. Wilson played 30. And, I mean, they played almost the whole game, which is at that point you probably have to do. But she proved to me last night that she's a better coach than I gave her credit for. To win that game on the road in that situation, when I saw after the game, I was excited. I'm like, damn, I wish I was going to be on that plane flying back because I've been on those planes flying back. And they really gutted it out and earned it last night. And I think she said after the game, this is even a bigger moment than the first one. And that's the reason because they weren't expected to win.
No, and listen, I'll be the first one to admit, and the reason why I thought the Liberty were going to win this series, and the reason why I thought the Liberty were certainly going to win yesterday, because it was a bad matchup for the Aces, certainly down injuries yesterday, hostile environment, and I thought eventually Breonna Stewart would wake up. And I was wrong about Breonna Stewart, and this isn't just one game, even though it was arguably the biggest game of her career. Listen, I know she had big games at UConn, I get that, but this isn't one game. In the biggest of moments in the playoffs, you were making, at best, 2 out of 10 shots. That is beyond atrocious. You are a foot taller than most people that are guarding you. You have 3-point range. How many times did she actually take the ball to the basket? And I watched, in game 2, I was sitting there basically right on the New York Liberty bench. I was basically right there. And I see how soft she is. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. She's the opposite of some other players, like their 5, like Jones. She's the opposite of Jones. Breonna Stewart is soft. I'm just going to say it. She has these fadeaway jump shots. She thinks she's Dirk Nowitzki when she has somebody a foot shorter than her guarding her. How many times do you see Breonna Stewart fight for a rebound? It usually just comes to her. Okay, I'm sorry. I know she had great stats during the regular season, and I know she shoots the ball much better as a whole. But in the biggest of moments, she was soft. I don't think she wanted the ball. Great players want the basketball. A'ja Wilson wants the basketball. Breonna Stewart did not want the basketball yesterday with 15 seconds left to go. How do I know that? First of all, she barely even caught the ball. And second of all, when she did catch the ball, and one person is guarding her, Alicia Clark's a very good defensive player.
She is very
good. And I give
good.
her, I'm not taking anything away from her. She was phenomenal on defense.
Yeah.
But when you have Alicia Clark guarding you and you're the MVP and you're a foot taller than Alicia Clark, the second Breonna Stewart got the ball, look at the replay. If you don't, she's like a bird. Who do I give the ball to? Who do I give the ball to? Hey, you're Breonna Stewart. You're the MVP. You've got somebody guarding you who's a foot shorter than you. Maybe think of shooting the basketball. I mean, to me, that speaks volumes about her, and I know I'm probably being a little hard on her, but I'm just being honest. She's the opposite of A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson is the best female basketball player in the world. Why? We all know her mid-range game is incredible. She's got great post moves and she rebounds. But we knew that a couple of years ago about her.
And she blocked shots.
Yeah, but that's what I was getting to. We knew that about her a couple of years ago. Her offensive skills, phenomenal. I remember watching her play year 1 for the Aces under Bill Laimbeer. I'm like, wow, she's going to be a special player. She has improved defensively to no end from last year to this year. She is probably the best defensive player in the league. And she does it on both ends. Breonna Stewart didn't do it on either end in this entire series. And that's a joke. I'm glad she won the MVP. I agree with what you said about Becky Hammond. I hope she sticks around. But this was a great team win. It wasn't just A'ja Wilson. It was a great collective team win because you saw the fighting on the defensive end, and you saw players that normally don't get any playing time that really contributed. And you saw a fight in them. Listen, they were down 9 points at the half. I thought at that point, okay, they're probably going to win by double digits. It's over. It's going.
It was teetering on a blowout.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, the Liberty couldn't make a shot. Part of that, the Aces. I also put a part on the fact that the Liberty just couldn't make shots. They missed some open shots, and they were terrible on the offensive end. How you can score, I think it was 48 points combined in the final 3 quarters is disgusting on your home court. That's gross. In 30 minutes of basketball, that's really bad. Give credit to. I'm trying to give credit to the Aces too, but I just think yesterday.
Well, I would give credit to Plum too, who is known for a score, right? She's a scoring.
She did a great job defensively.
What did she score? 6 points.
Yep.
She 7 points. She had 8 rebounds and 5 assists. So she took that other role on. She is one of the surest handlers of the basketball I've seen on their team. She has that little hop skip.
She had a bad turnover though when they were up 3 with like a minute to go.
But in general. And she had to really prove that, and I think she did. And
sure,
their toughness. I mean, I'm sitting at home watching that game, being excited because I know we won Game 5 in Atlanta in the playoffs one year when Terry Cummings was out, Jack Sikma was out, and they had Dominique Wilkins, Doc Rivers. We weren't supposed to win that game, and we ended up winning it. And I remember that flight back to Milwaukee. And then having about 5,000 people meet us at the airport because we clinched that series. So I know what they were feeling, and that was really something to see.
What do you think the flight was like home this morning?
I think it was last night. I think they left last night.
They arrived at like 5:36, right?
Yeah, so they left after the game because it takes hours to do all the interviews.
Did anybody sleep?
No.
So
no.
Colson was live the whole ride, basically.
Oh, really?
It was a madhouse in that plane.
She went live on Instagram.
On Instagram.
I was when I was with the Mavericks. We won the West Coast Conference. We beat Phoenix in Phoenix, and after at that point, you don't drink champagne till the end, and so after all the interviews, getting on the plane, big 757, and then flying back to Dallas, where there was probably 10 or 15,000 people at the airport because we were finally going to the NBA Finals.
Right.
And that flight on that plane was crazy for me. I haven't had a drink in 23 years now, but that was about 10 years ago. And I remember telling people, I feel like I'm drunk. That was the kind of feeling. And the craziest thing was when we were coming into land in Dallas, the pilot somehow, illegally, whatever, we did a flyby at the airport in Dallas in the 757 airplane where we came, tilted, looked at all the fans and made a circle and landed.
Oh, wow.
But I know that flight last night was something. Those are things that, I played for 12 years in the NBA. I've coached for 20. I won a D-League championship, stuff like that. But those kind of flights are what stay with you forever. The games you can remember and the losses and all that. But those flights and those experiences with the people, your inner circle, even your trainers and your equipment people and the general manager, those are things that last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And you never forget them.
No question.
I still have, you've seen my office.
Sure.
I have a picture of our D-League championship. I have my championship ring there.
Yeah.
And I have the hat I wore after the game. It still has champagne smell on it.
Well, listen, these girls, women, deserve a lot of credit. They had a great season without Candace Parker in the lineup. Let's not forget about that. She's a Hall of Famer.
Is she coming back, or what's her
Yeah,
deal?
my understanding is she is. But, they didn't have her. And yesterday without two of your starters. And
here's the thing, too. Like, we've all seen Willis Reed and that, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These two, their two starters, come out in boots and crutches.
Yeah, it's and they were great on the sidelines. But I think you play your coach's personality. What's your coach's personality? And Becky Hammond has a lot of confidence in her team. She's tough. She holds people accountable, but she has a wonderful relationship with players. And it's interesting because Pop yesterday, I think the Spurs played a preseason game yesterday.
Yeah,
he said he wanted to get thrown out
so he can watch the game.
But Pop had
That's
a lot
Nelly move, by the way.
That's cool. And Pop is right with what he said after the game about Becky. Is that of course she knows her basketball. Of course she's X's and O's. But there's a lot of coaches that know that, but they don't have the type of communication skills to be able to have the certain type of relationships that she has with players, and she has that bond. Bill Laimbeer, really good coach in the WNBA, really good X's and O's coach. Don't think he had those communication skills. Good coach, don't get me wrong, but won a lot of games in the WNBA.
Yeah, at the highest level, people ask me, I coached for over 20 years, and what's the most important thing to being a head coach? And X's and O's you have to have, because they will. The players will see that right away. If you don't know what you're doing, they'll see it right away. But as important is being able to hold them accountable and respect.
Sure.
And then relationships.
Sure.
Those are just as important as X's and O's.
I think in some cases you could even say more important. Here's what Greg Popovich had to say about Becky Hammond after his preseason game yesterday when he found out that they just won back-to-back WNBA championships.
Ask him quick. I don't have a whole lot of time. I got to go celebrate. Becky Hammond and the Aces. It's like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. It's Becky and the Aces. Fantastic. I thought about getting booted tonight because it was exactly the same time, but I just thought this has to be my priority. But it was close. It was close. Congrats, Becky. Yeah, baby. Good stuff. Anybody got anything? All right. Quickly. I got to go get some wine. Can I say that?
What'd you think of that?
He can say whatever he wants.
And he made a few more comments, and he talked about, what we were just talking about is, she's great at X's and O's. But, and when I interviewed Becky when she came on the show last season, She said she talks to Pop almost every day through text. Yeah. They talk every day, and she asks him questions. And I just think the relationship they have had is pretty cool.
Pop's, here's a side thing. Pop's coaching tree is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Back a long time ago, when I was looking for a job in the NBA, and Pop's been really great to me, but I remember being at the pre-draft camp in Chicago, and for those who don't know, that's where all the draft guys come and they get evaluated. But it's also a time for possible head coaches to be interviewed and for other people to try and get jobs in the league, and that's what I was there for.
Right.
And I can't remember what team it was. I don't know if it was the Warriors or anyway. I was talking to the general manager who I knew on the sideline, during the thing, which is it's a job hunt. Everybody come over and talk to who you talk to and how you get a relationship. And I remember talking to him and kind of selling myself and I'm available and this is what I've done and blah 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 blah. And he listened and I knew him and I'll get back to you and we'll see what happens. And then I moved to the side and Popovich came in right behind me and sold a person that was on his staff. And I stood there and listened to what Pop was telling this general manager about his guy, and I'm going, no way I'm getting that job.
And he got the job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Pop's a guy he knows what it takes to win championships. Yeah. He's
very
also
well respected.
Very similar to Becky in a sense of his relationships with guys like Tony Parker and Tim Duncan over the years and David Robinson and I also admire Pop not just for his basketball coaching, but his takes on social issues and willing to step up and talk about those social issues, just like Steve Kerr.
Much like Steve Kerr. Yeah.
And I appreciate them just as much, maybe even if not more. It's funny because I was on the golf course watching the Shriners, and I was following Cameron Champ. His father is black. So I'm following him, and Cameron Champ is the guy that he speaks out on social issues, and in golf, I think that's really important because there's so many white people that play golf, and there's not a lot of minorities that play golf. So to see Cameron out there doing that, and then I run into his father just accidentally. His father's following him, and I told his father, I said, I just want you to know how much I appreciate your son speaking out on these social issues, and his eyes kind of lit up, and that means a lot to me. Thank you, and I think that's important not just for black people to do that, but for people like Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. It's important for all of us to speak out on social issues. Just because you're not black doesn't mean you can't speak out on those issues, right? No matter what the color of your skin is, and that's what I love about Pop. And there's just something about Becky's demeanor, her confidence, but not overconfident, but confident in her locker room, confident in her players, but not overconfident, trusting, but if they do something that she doesn't like, she's going to call it out. She's just really good at having that happy medium with the players, that type of relationship, and watching Asia Wilson embrace her afterwards, and the emotion and the crying, and it was just it was pretty cool to watch.
What do you know what her contract situation is?
I do not, but I can't imagine she wants to leave Vegas anytime soon.
Well, I mean, I can't remember the guy's name. A guy I used to know. He's assistant in the NBA for years. He just got the Suns job, or the WNBA job in Phoenix, and is now the highest paid coach in the league. So I wonder if that might be brought up here this summer.
Interesting. Interesting.
And here's the difference. Like, you think about an NBA is 82 games, 100 if you go far in the playoffs, and you're looking at 8 or 9 months of a season, right? In college, you only play 30 games or whatever, but you got to recruit. It's pretty year long. In the WNBA, your season is 3 months long, and you're leading up to that, that's a month. So you're working for probably 4 months. Not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig at all. And for women out there that think that WNBA players deserve more money, just look at the amount of games that they play. Look at the amount of money that the league is making, or organization. Listen, the Aces are doing quite well. Mark Davis is making money with the Raiders and the Aces. There's no question about that. In fact, the Raiders are, even though they're not a very good football team, they're one of the most profitable teams in the NFL. There's a reason for that. Vegas likes a winner.
Yeah.
Okay, and Vegas does not want a loser. They want a winner. Ask the Vegas Golden Knights how that's turned out for them.
And he's putting money back in. I mean, the Aces have an NBA level practice facility that he built for them.
And a private jet, right?
I don't know about that.
Do they not have a private jet? Oh, okay.
I don't think so, yeah. But I would
I
hope
think
they had
maybe
one
they-
last night.
maybe they
I
need to
hope-
get one now.
Yeah, but, that's part of it is putting money back in to build your brand, right?
Sure.
So
He's done that.
Yeah.
He's been a phenomenal owner of the Aces. As far as from a financial standpoint, he's done a good job with the Raiders. As far as from getting a good product on the field, I'm not so sure about that. But keep in mind, Candace Parker has not played. They still won the championship. I was wrong. I thought that the Liberty were going to win this series, and they destroyed them the first 2 games at home. I thought the Liberty were going to split one of those games, and I was dead wrong. Breonna Stewart was terrible. Again, I'm going back to what I said earlier, but players that you expected to step up did not. It's almost like they were almost intimidated. It was strange. I mean,
which is strange because the Liberty had the best post player in on the court, legitimate. I mean, Wilson is a good post player, but Jones is physically intimidating. Long arms,
Right.
block shots,
Right.
Really physical underneath. She can grab a rebound. put it
That's where
back.
the Aces were at a disadvantage, and that's why I say, Mo, that the New York Liberty coaching staff failed miserably.
I said after game 1, if the Liberty are going to get in the series, they need to slow the game down, play half court, and pound it inside, and they never did that.
F- as far as I'm concerned from a coaching standpoint. I thought the game plan was abysmal. The reason why I thought the Liberty were going to win because they were going to score more points under the basket because they had a huge height advantage and skilled offensive players under the basket. How many times did you actually see them make entry passes in the post?
Very
Almost never. Horrendous coaching. And then if the Aces are forced to double team, then you're going to get some wide open looks. But I just thought the coaching was
And
horrific.
don't overlook that the Liberty spent a lot of money this before the season and brought in players and spent money to up their roster. So, I can't believe that they're very happy right now with what
Well, arguably they had the best 5 and 4 in the league, in the world. And how many times, you would never see that in an NBA game. I don't want to compare the WNBA to the NBA, but when you have quality players at the 4 and the 5 spot, how many times do they get entry passes in the post? Almost every possession, or at least they tried to.
Yeah,
and I don't think I saw more than 1 or 2 yesterday. It was a joke. Get to the free throw line.
Like the Joker at the high post and give him the ball, let
Right.
him operate and do stuff like that.
That's what I thought they would do more with Breonna Stewart.
Yeah, and you would think she would catch it up high at the top of the key, and then you have Jones working down low. You go classic high-low, and then work out of that. And then what you do is you make the defense work, and more than likely you get them in foul trouble.
Exactly.
And now the Aces, whether they have a short bench or not, she doesn't play them. So now you're going to force some people to get in uncomfortable situations, but that never really happened.
Well, listen, when you're a team that scores 12 points in a quarter, and then right after the quarter, you ask the coach, what do you guys need to do better? And she says, we need to be better defensively. In my personal opinion, you have a coach that is clueless. I sat 2 feet away from her.
Yeah, there's ways to say, like, first of all, I don't want to admit that my offense sucks, so I'm not going to say it on
We need to get
national
better
TV.
shots. We need to knock down shots. That's all.
Yeah, but also the other thing as a coach is when your defense creates offense for you, that is a valid point.
I get that, but when you score 12, and by the way, it's not like the Aces were shooting lights out either. Both teams struggled to score. It was a very low-scoring game, so I don't think it was the New York Liberty's defense that lost the game. In fact, they couldn't make a shot. That's why they lost the game. Your stars weren't making shots. How many layups did they miss yesterday?
But the coach couldn't say that, right?
How many layups did they miss yesterday? It's ridiculous.
If I'm in that situation, I'm going to say, listen, we're not making our outside shots, so let's pound it inside for a while, see what happens.
Yeah, try something. Listen, I was 2 feet away from this head coach.
Did you heckle her?
No, but I thought that
you
her
let me down.
her communication skills with not only her coaching staff but with the players, it was like a JV coach. I really thought it was that bad. I couldn't believe it. I was amazed. And look, the reason why they lost this series is because of one simple thing.
They couldn't make shots.
Yeah, the Liberty, they were terrible offensively. They couldn't knock down shots. And the Aces made shots when they needed to. They blew them out the first 2 games, and that's really where they won the series. Yes, I understand they won Game 3 yesterday, and it shocked a lot of people, and they earned it yesterday. But they blew them out the first 2 games. Those games weren't even close. And I believe the players that were healthy had a little bit more energy because of that, if that makes sense. And those two games were stress-free games, and I think that's kind of where they won the series. And, bad coaching, good coaching. Players making plays, players not making plays. Stars being stars, stars playing like your 12th person on the bench. I mean, you can't go. Your star can't go 3 for 17 from the field, and you expect
You're
to
not
win
going to win the game.
No, I mean that's
You're not
pathetic.
gonna win the game.
This loss is on two people, in my personal opinion. It's on Breonna Stewart, and it's on the head coach. Those two got to be better. And as far as the Aces go, it's a collective win. It's a collective championship. Becky Hammon and Asia Wilson are the heart of this team, and everybody stepped up and played their role. At least on the defensive end. I know some players didn't have the best offensive game yesterday, but players made shots when they needed to.
Well, you know what? It's just as important for players, maybe yours, me included, that if I know I'm not an offensive focus on the team, then don't take any shots.
Exactly.
Do your role.
Yeah.
Play defense, rebound, guard someone, foul someone, and I think they did that.
I agree with you, and I didn't feel like there were really any forced shots by the Aces yesterday.
I think I don't know her name, but the backup big that I think she hit a corner shot to begin with.
Yeah, I think she's from Australia. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So,
Kayla,
so
Kayla George.
she's a physical
She
player.
was like 1 for 8 or something. She didn't shoot the ball very well. But,
I think she took a couple bad shots. You know why? Because she hit that first one.
Right.
But also she's thinking she made a great backdoor pass, but then a few plays later she threw the ball away when Plum didn't go backdoor. But she did her role. I mean,
she banged. She played defense. She rebounded. She banged. She banged. She grabbed some boards and
she's tough.
She's a big girl, and she played some key minutes in a very, very big game. So congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. A highlight was watching Mark Davis attempt to dance. That was fun after the game. But congratulations to Mark Davis, a really good franchise that does it the right way with a bunch of really nice people, and I'm very happy for them. I'm very angry, Mo, that I can't go to the game tomorrow night with Vivica A. Fox, but I'm trying to convince her to come out for the parade. I'm trying to convince her to do that.
And we're double dating, right?
Okay, well, I'll try. I can only ask. I don't know.
I think, and a suggestion just for Mark, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Look back to your dad. Well, let's put on, instead of all white, let's put on all black. I think it looks better.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk about looks, I mean, we could also talk about his, remember Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber? I mean, Mark has that kind of haircut. He's a super nice guy.
Signature, but the all white, ooh.
I could see Mark Davis. I could see Mark Davis in that car doing that scene. But anyway, congratulations to the Aces. Well deserved. And the celebration's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody comes. I believe the parade's going to be on Monday. There's not a lot of other information, but I'm trying to get that information. But it will be on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have plenty of Las Vegas Aces guests, I'm sure, next week. We're going to give them some time the next couple days to relax and enjoy it. And then hopefully next week we can get some guests to come on the show. I'd love to get Becky Hammon next week.
Let me be on with them.
Absolutely. I'd love to have Becky Hammon on the show next week, but I'm not going to text her and ask her now. I'm going to let her enjoy the next couple days.
You know what, though? And I'll tell you a story, too. Like, Popovich was an assistant coach with the Warriors my last year when I played there. And I've had a relationship with him, not close. But I remember way back when he won a championship one year, as usual. And I text him, congrats, enjoy, with no expectation. I mean, he's got pray to go to all that. He texts me back like 4 days later, apologizing for waiting so long. So I'm sure Coach Hammonds might text you right back anyway.
Well, I don't want to bother her. I will. Last time I did, I just texted her and thanked her for coming on the show. I don't want to ask for anybody right now. They should be left alone.
They're sleeping right now.
Yeah, let them enjoy the parade, and then after the parade, maybe try to get some players on. Maybe probably get Becky on next week. But I'm gonna give that a little bit of rest. Believe it or not, programming note. Tomorrow on the show, I have a young man coming on who grew up in Gaza, right near the Gaza Strip. He attended one of those pro-Palestinian parades here or protests here in Vegas, and I reached out to him, and he's willing to come in studio. So I want to get another perspective. That's what I try to do on this show.
And people don't understand. You've been there. I've been there.
Sure.
I've been to Tel Aviv.
Yep.
How close everything is. It's not like California from Florida. It's not like that. It's like Nevada from California. That's how close everything is.
Yeah, it is very close. But I like hearing other perspectives. So long as they're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to them. And somebody who grew up in Gaza, I want to get his thoughts on everything. So he's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. And of course, Nicole Mitchell, who won't have to do a co-hosting with Chris Wynn. Luckily, she's got Brian Shapiro tomorrow, and so we're gonna have. And by the way, Chris Wynn is filling in for TC, so we got.
Is he really?
We got to see his caveman Keno butt jumping in here and
bro.
We should do some Chris Wynn impersonations like right before the end of the show. But right now we're going to take a break. Joined by, of course, NBA veteran Paul McKeskey. When we come back. Is James Harden still not showing up to practice? Yes, we're going to talk about that. What's going on in Philadelphia with my man Daryl Morey, who I actually like. I like Daryl Morey. I think he's a nice guy. So we'll talk a little bit about that and maybe some NBA predictions from Mo when we come back. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Go Aces!
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent, on-site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. And tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, Paul McKeskey playing the air drums here. It's always a highlight of the show when he comes in every Thursday. Welcome back.
Keep playing that music, baby.
Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about my good friend Blake Gwynn, who was in the studio yesterday from Keller Williams. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home, there's no person better. Blake grew up here his entire life. Of course, his late great-grandfather, Kenny Gwynn, was the governor here. And man, the market is on fire. If you're thinking of buying or selling, give Blake a call. He'll give you $1,000 cash back if you mention this show, PTL. His number, 702-540-3311. Again, that number, Blake Gwynn with Keller Williams Group, thinking of buying or selling a home, 702-540-3311. He doesn't like to be called the Jolly Green Giant, so I'll never say that again because I don't want
Linda will never have you over the house again.
I don't want
Never.
McKeskey to kick my ass like he did Charles Oakley back in the day. You know, I don't want that to happen. I was going to say Charles Barkley, but it kind of didn't work out that way for you, did it? I'm poking the bear now. You see what I'm doing? It's horrible. But anyway, Mo was
I'm not an easy target, though.
Mo was one of the tough guys in the NBA, and I think that's part of one of the main reasons why he had such a nice long career. He's talented, but he was tough, and he earned it. And James Harden might be an extremely skilled offensive player. I wouldn't really call James Harden tough, but what is going on in Philadelphia now, in my opinion, and those of you that don't know, he's refusing to go to practice. Major issues, he claims relationship issues with Daryl Morey that are irreparable. Am I saying that word right?
Are they married?
I don't know, but
he's the GM.
Yeah.
Most players never talk to the GM, by the way.
I don't know what's going on in that relationship, but James Harden is getting paid to play basketball, and he's not showing up to practice.
For now, yeah.
What do you make of this situation, Mo?
Well, I think, his history says, he's unpredictable. I mean, he went back in the day, he was in Oklahoma City when they had KD and they had Westbrook, and they were an up-and-coming team, and he wasn't happy there. He was coming off the bench. He was Sixth Man of the Year and playing a lot of minutes. I mean, in my opinion as a coach, it doesn't matter if you start or don't start. It's how many minutes you play and who's in the game in the fourth quarter, and he was. And then he went to Houston where Daryl Morey pretty much gave him the keys to the team. He could dribble as much as he wanted, shoot as much as he wanted, play as little defense as he wanted. I was in the G League down there, and I heard stuff, and he was pretty much let to do whatever he wanted to do. He led the league in scoring. He was All-Star. He was up for MVP. All that, and then he wasn't happy there, so he wanted out. And what I heard is he wanted, actually, because Daryl Morey took over the Philly job, he wanted to go to Philly. But Houston Rockets would not deal him there because of Daryl Morey, so he ended up in Brooklyn. And he ended up in Brooklyn with KD again, and Kyrie Irving, and the great three, and no one could stop that group, and they were going to score 150 points a game and win championships, and that didn't work out, so he wanted out of there. And then he got to Philly, where supposedly he wanted, and the situation with his contract and Daryl Morey turned out not to be what he wanted. So the poor guy is only making $35 million this year. Poor guy. He wasn't offered a full contract for 4 more years because of some other things that were going on. And quite frankly, I think Daryl Morey dodged him and didn't answer him after and I think Daryl Morey had promised him some stuff, kind of like, we'll take care of you, don't worry, have patience, kind of that kind of stuff. And when it didn't work out and it went south, instead of Daryl Morey, who I think is a little apprehensive of confrontation, instead of facing up and saying, hey, James, it didn't work out financially, we're going to do the best for you, let's move on, he just ignored him. I think he ghosted him. And that fueled that fire where he came on a month or so ago and said, Daryl Morey's a liar, I will never play for Philly ever again, or any organization that has to do with Daryl Morey.
Right.
Well, that changed because he showed up at camp, I think, a day late maybe, and got because of his contract, when he reports to camp, he gets a check for $9 million like that day. Here you go. And he showed up, got that, looked in good shape, practiced pretty good, wasn't a confrontational or anything. And I think in his mind, which is rightfully so, and his agents, if I show up, I show people I'm in shape, I can still play, I will help me get traded where I want to go. And he did that, and it didn't work out. He wants to go to the Clippers. The Clippers don't want to give Philly what they want for James Harden because his stock is dropping. And that didn't work out. So I think after about a week, he took his ball and went home. I hear he's in Houston, where he lives, and you're just going to have to see how this plays out.
But how can he still be getting paid?
Well, it's the Sixers' decision, and their comment after he missed practice, which he wasn't expected to miss. He didn't tell anybody. He just left. And so he wasn't there, so they said, we're going to give him a chance to explain to us why he left before we do any action. But now at this point, their action will be just like they did with Ben Simmons back in the day, When he left, then you start getting fined. I think it's $2,500 a day and $300,000 every game you miss, and then those start piling up. So I think it's kind of the impasse they're at now.
I just feel like these types of situations didn't happen, at least to this extent, when you were playing.
Oh, no.
I mean, these crybabies and these prima donnas, and yes, I do think James Harden is bad for basketball for a lot of different reasons. Is he an extremely talented offensive player? Yes. But in my personal opinion, Mo, when you have a 24-second shot clock and you're dribbling the ball between your legs for 20 seconds and then pull up on a contested 30-foot jumper, which, by the way, he makes a lot of those. He's very talented. But I think it's bad for the game of basketball. I don't think it's good. And then you see a lot of these young kids that are playing like that. It's not good basketball. Listen, Steph Curry is a freak. That guy and his movement without the ball is second to none. He's a magician with the ball. He is a very, very rare exception. But when you got these guys that are dribbling the ball between their legs and shake and bake for 20 seconds.
With no purpose.
Okay, this isn't street ball. Okay, if it's street ball, fine. It's about entertainment. No purpose. You're dribbling the ball between your legs with four guys standing there watching you, and then you're pulling up. I just think it's why I don't watch regular season NBA basketball. And listen, if we have a team here, I'll be watching every game, I promise you. But I don't watch a lot of regular season NBA basketball. I just think it's a bad product.
Yeah, I never liked his game. He over dribbles. He did lead the league in assists last year, but I think that's kind of by accident because he has the ball in his hands a lot of the time.
Right.
And he played with a good team. I don't see how he makes any team better, really, especially for what you're going to have to pay him. And the headaches, no one trusts him now. I think that, Miami was interested for a while, but I think they went to the trust issue and said, we can't trust him to come in and be here and do what he's supposed to do and honor his contract. To answer your question, back in the day, no one in the 80s or 90s demanded a trade. You never heard that. I demand a trade. I would like a trade. It'd be nice if I went to another
Who
team.
the hell are you to demand a trade?
Demand a trade, you're under contract.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Now, players back in the day, Karl Malone used to do, after his second or third year of his contract, he would get unhappy with it because other players are getting paid more, so he thinks he's worth more, so he would kind of hold out a little bit, but they usually folded. But that was to the extent. Now, with Ben Simmons and Harden, which opens the door, someone was saying today, which is right, Harden has got his way every time he's done this, so why wouldn't he do it again?
Right.
He's like a kid, right? If you don't discipline your kids when they're young and now they're teenagers, how do you expect them to be good kids? They won't be. So he's gotten away with this in OKC, Houston, and Brooklyn, so why wouldn't you try it again?
Right.
It really hurts the league, which is really, really doing great financially, and players are getting paid. I remember, back when we were, negotiating contracts, there was a concern about player movement. We want to have more free movement in the league and be able to do contracts with other teams, which has been the case. But now it's overkill, right? I saw that 25% of the team players in the league, in the NBA right now, were on different teams last year.
Yeah, there's
25%.
That's not,
that's
and
crazy.
and that's not good for the league.
No, because people move around. And
Right.
I talked to someone the other day. I said, back when I played, like you were a fan of the Celtics. You were a fan of the team and the logo and the colors. Now fans are fans of players. LeBron or Curry, or if LeBron moves from Cleveland to Miami to Cleveland to
So
LA,
I agree with
they
you
follow him.
100%. I grew up a big Celtics fan, and listen, I loved Larry Bird. Idolized Larry Bird as a kid, but I loved the Celtics, man. The Leprechaun. It was the Celtics that I loved, with Larry Bird, but I loved the Celtics. I didn't, and I agree with you. I think that's a good point. Well, we only have like 2 minutes left to go here, Mo, and I know that Chris Wynn is going to be filling in for TC coming up next. What can we do to calm down Chris? Like, what can we do to, he's very much on edge all the time, and I'm very worried about him. We did a live blood pressure test on the air, and he was like 160 over 105.
That's not good.
No,
Bro, that's not good.
He's very bitchy, if I can say that. And I'm trying to figure out, what can we do to make, what do you think we should do?
I think one thing, we got to get the lighting in here a little more moody, maybe a blue light or something, kind of bring the temperature down a little bit, and maybe not let him wear headphones so he can't really hear a lot of the stuff, and he'll be a little more calm. And
how about a caveman Keno machine right here?
No, I think that would get his blood pressure up or down depending on if he's winning or losing. I think you need to keep that out of here. Maybe even a recliner chair or something, to kind of calm him down. But I don't think any of that'll work, but it's worth a shot.
Give me your best Chris Wynn impersonation.
Bro. Aces won. I didn't bet him. I lost on the over-under, but bro, they won.
Bro. Hey, on a Thursday, can I do my Chris Wynn, how he's going to start the show? It's Chris Wynn filling in for T.C. Martin on a Thursday. Aces, back-to-back champs, bro. Bro, you got to give credit, bro.
We love you,
bro.
Chris.
Bro. We do. Anyway, Mo, thanks for coming, as always. Appreciate the time, my friend. And I think next week when you come on the show, we got to do a real NBA regular season preview.
Yeah.
We'll break it down next week. And
also, we can talk about the in-season tournament that's coming here to Vegas.
Yes, I can't wait for that as well.
I think the games start next Tuesday.
I can't wait.
Here's one thing, and I'll throw this in.
Yep.
I watched Adam Silver be interviewed, and one of the things they're doing that's cool for that, when you play every Tuesday for the qualify for that tournament, all the courts are going to be different, and all the teams are going to be wearing different types of uniforms.
See, I just think it's brilliant.
That's cool.
It's so cool. It's brilliant. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know we're going to be there. Mo, thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great day.